Hello all and welcome, and I'm the MGTOW philosopher. And in this video I would like to talk about what I call the blue pill empty guy syndrome. Now, the blue pill empty man is a man like any other except for one thing. He has a hole inside himself somewhere. Now, when I say blue pill empty guy, I mean that as a man, as an individual, he's not complete. For example, when he's alone, the blue pill empty guy feels uncomfortable. Now, the blue pill empty guy is a guy that feels empty inside, like something's missing. Hence, the blue pill empty guy will always seek to distract himself, always seek to fill up his time with tasks. But you see, one can't stay busy all the time. No one can fill up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not entirely. So what is the best way to not have to look at that emptiness? Something he has to do when he's alone. Why, not be alone, of course. Enter the woman, the mate, the live-in girlfriend, or God forbid, the wife. She completes me, he says. She's the missing puzzle piece to my existence. This is something I see and hear all too often. Men falling for this completes me bullshit narrative and believing that the answer to their problems, their feelings of loneliness, of emptiness, is a woman. No. First of all, loneliness is bullshit. People don't feel alone because there's not another person there. Because there is another person there. You! If you are there with you, why would you be lonely, Well, we'll get back to that later. You see, there's this assumption that if you're lonely, that all you need are others around you so that you won't feel lonely anymore. However, that is mistaking the cause of the problem. For the root cause of loneliness has nothing to do with a lack of other people being in your vicinity. No. Instead, it has to do with a lack of self-knowledge and loving oneself and knowing oneself completely. For example, let us say that you were a man that grew up never reflecting on who he is, never taking a close look at your inner self, never getting to know yourself, never stopping to try and understand what makes you tick. But wait, you are you. So you must know you, right? I mean, if you don't know you, who does? You are you, so you must know you. It's that simple, right? Wrong. You see, people have this conceit, this belief that just because they are themselves, that they are inside their own skin, that by default they must know themselves very well. That's because they think their own thoughts and feel their own feelings and are self-aware, so they must know themselves, right? No, that is a lie. Yes, you do experience your own thoughts and feelings, but where do they come from? Why do you have them? What is the source of all these pesky things? Now, people outside of you, they can also see your actions, and they can guess at your feelings. They can draw conclusions on what you think and feel based on your actions and words. Doesn't that mean that they know you also? And by the way, why do you think some people know you better than you know yourself, Why do you think that is? Well, it's because some people can look deeper and can draw conclusions based upon your actions and link actions to possible feelings and link feelings to possible root causes of those feelings. But do you ever stop and do that with yourself? Or do you only do that with others? And can you really do that very well, if at all, if you can't do it with yourself? Aha! So you see, knowing oneself, it's not as simple as just being inside your own skin. It's really not much different, for example, than being in the same room with someone else. Just because you share a room with them, that doesn't mean you know them. They can hide things from you. And you can oh so easily hide things from yourself as well, by way of not looking deeper. Oh, yes. And boy, oh, is it hard to look deeper. You know, inside each man is an inner darkness, a part of ourselves we just don't like to look at or want to see. However, if we fail to look at some parts of ourselves for fear of what we might find, we end up seeing nothing. In ignoring or failing to gain knowledge about ourselves, we fail to know ourselves at all, really. Hence the rise of the blue pill empty guy, a man who is so uncomfortable with who he is and is so lacking in self-knowledge and is so unable to reflect on self that he must not be alone at all costs. That feeling of emptiness, of not being complete, that's real. But what causes it is not the lack of another person in the vicinity. That's where people err. No, it's the lack of you. It's the lack of knowledge in regards to who you are, what you are, and why you are. It's a total lack of self-knowledge that in essence makes you a non-person, a person who is literally missing pieces of himself, pieces you cannot see. So to you, they don't exist. And yet you feel their absence, and you interpret these missing pieces as emptiness, blank spaces within yourself, waiting for another person to fill them, to complete you, like the missing pieces in a puzzle. Yet you fail to recognize the truth. A man is not a puzzle waiting to be completed by others. He is a puzzle waiting to be solved and then completed by himself. But it takes strength to look within. Strength and fortitude and courage. Because people don't like what's inside. It scares them. And so they intuitively flee from it, seeking solace in others to distract their minds from themselves so that they don't feel that emptiness anymore, at least for a time. Because it's always there. It always comes back when you're alone. So you must not be alone at all costs. And you feel better when other people are around. So you mistakenly associate that better feeling with other people being the answer. Hence the word loneliness, a term to define how you feel when you're alone, and which goes away when others are there, so you think it is simply a feeling whose root cause is not having others around you. No, the cause is not lack of others, but instead is you not knowing you not being comfortable with you, and you being afraid of knowing yourself, for fear of what you might find, fear of you. You see, men have mistaken a distraction as the actual cure, and they've confused the lack of others as the cause of their own emptiness. So, what's the real answer to the blue pill empty guy's dilemma? How does he fix the problem? Why, he gets to know himself, of course. Now, how does one do that, you might ask? How does one get to know themselves? Why, the same way you get to know everyone else, of course. You focus your perceptions inward. Ask yourself questions, and not only look closely at the answers you provide yourself, but you must also look deeper to analyze their veracity. I mean, really, if you think it's easy to lie to others, you have no idea how much easier and more effective people are at lying to themselves. But you'll find out soon enough. No. You must go beyond the surface answers you might provide yourself and shine a light deeper inside into the very depths of your being, and then deeper still into the being of your being. You must ask questions and find answers, and then delve even deeper and find answers yet again. You must use your mind, your critical reasoning, to determine the links, the causes that lead to the effects. That you may not currently understand the why of. You must understand the root causes of everything that makes you you, that makes you the man you are. You must know where everything that is within you came from, as well as the why of what formed these root traits that all your feelings and behavior are based upon. So, root to feelings, feelings to effect in the form of action in the real world. In this way, you can know why you do everything you do by understanding what those actions and feelings and thoughts are based upon within yourself. Hence, you must be able to trace effect to feeling to root source and back again from root to feeling to effect. You must know yourself fully, both inside and out, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of it. For you see, total self-knowledge is the only way to escape the empty man conundrum. It can't be done halfway. Otherwise, there will always be gaps, empty spaces, puzzle pieces that need to be filled, and can only be ignored through distraction via the presence of others and or constantly being busy. Blue pill empty man syndrome manifests itself as feelings of loneliness when alone, of restlessness and discontent in general. And I've told you the cure for that. One must take as much time as required to delve within self. Not physically, of course, but mentally and emotionally, until every aspect of self is explored, known, understood, and no rock or crevice is left unturned. Now, this can lead to some very uncomfortable discoveries, and in turn, possible depression and some hard realizations about yourself that you may or may not want to face. That's life, and you'll have to come to terms with that and deal with every single revelation and discovery you make. To be honest, it's not an easy process. It can take years and be very painful, and at the end of the process, it might remain unfinished, though you may believe otherwise, because feelings of loneliness might remain, might persist, of pieces missing, of a problem not yet solved. But that simply means you're still in a form of denial, that you are still hiding from certain truths, that you have not delved deeply enough or fully explored the depths of yourself enough. That just means the job is not complete yet. And the road to self-discovery and full self-knowledge is a hard one, very hard. Even the best people out there might find it to be difficult, as they often find that they're not quite as good or righteous as they had previously believed, let alone those of us who dwell somewhere in the middle, or God forbid, are among the worst of us, and simply don't want to know what lies within. You know, the truth is, most men, they live their lives, their whole lives, without actually knowing themselves. And it's conceit to believe that you do, simply because you are you. That's the height of arrogance, and is nothing more than another way to hide. Hide from yourself. Now, some might ask, if it's such a hard process, why not just find a woman and settle down? As that does the same in terms of making me happy, right? And not lonely. So why go through all the rigmarole that full self-knowledge requires? Well, I would answer in this way. What is happiness if you cannot find it within yourself? Are you really truly happy when you use others to take away loneliness? Essentially, you hiding from you. Or are you simply in denial and using someone else as a substitute for that which is missing within you? Is it really happiness you're feeling, or simply relief at not having to face the emptiness? And if you are really so happy, then why can you not be happy alone? For how can you be truly happy, no matter how close you think you might be to supposed happiness, if you are not happy when you're alone, when you are with yourself? Yes. That is the inescapable rub of it. The loneliness you feel is a sure sign that you do not know yourself. And the only way you can know yourself is to go through the hard work required to do so. Yet there are countless distractions and substitutes that, while not nearly as good, will do and give the illusion of true happiness, and without the hard work required to gain total self-knowledge. And by that token, is it any wonder that so many men pick the path of least resistance and simply fill in the emptiness, fill in that empty feeling with another person who they feel completes them? Because whenever they are around, whenever that person is around them, the feeling of loneliness mostly goes away. And yet, people, it is always there in the background. You cannot quiet it completely or make it go away entirely. It's like a buzz in the background, a background noise. You can engage in as many conversations and distractions as you like, but you'll always be aware of it there, buzzing away in the background. Now that you know what that feeling is, now that you can put a name to it and identify the cause of that emptiness, that feeling that something is lacking, that uncomfortableness you have when alone, when doing nothing, what are you going to do about it? Will you do the hard work of solving the problem? Or will you live an unexamined life of illusory, perhaps near happiness, in which you never really know who you are? I know the choice I would and did make. And gentlemen, I can promise you this. The road to self-knowledge is a powerful one and leads to knowledge and understanding of self that imparts great wisdom, not just of self, but of others. One who knows and loves themselves doesn't get lonely because they're a complete human being. There are no missing pieces, no empty spaces unexamined, no puzzle pieces absent that need to be filled. The man who knows himself understands self, and through his exhaustive efforts to do so, he has the tools available to understand others and in turn the world around him. The man who knows himself fears nothing within himself and sees everything that exists within and makes him who he is. He knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, where they lie and do not lie. Hence, he can make use of all his resources in regards to where he is the most strong and achieve great things. And where he's the most weak, he can become stronger, more capable, because he knows where his weaknesses lie. You know, learning about yourself, it's perhaps the greatest and most terrible journey you will ever take as a man. And it's also the most rewarding one. More so than you can possibly imagine. I do not exaggerate in this. And if anything, I likely downplay the importance of this journey. And at this point, you have to make a choice. What are you going to do? Are you going to walk the hard road or take the path of least resistance, where others are a buffer between you and the reality of you? I can tell you personally that knowing oneself is the best gift you can give yourself. You become your own best company. You no longer need other people. If you interact with them, it's not out of need. You could spend 20 years alone and not get lonely because you are with the person you know and love most. You! And in that case, you are never alone. And if you find things within yourself that you don't like, you can change them. And if some remnant of some part of you that you change still remains, it'll be nothing more than the wisp of a thought, and it will no longer have any power over you. For a man is what he does, not what he thinks. By the way, the difficulty of full self-knowledge is why the phrase, people don't change, exists. Generally speaking, this is true. But it is only true because, at least in part, most people do not know about the importance of self-knowledge, or that they don't know themselves in the first place. That's one of the really misleading parts of being self-aware. The fact that you are inside your own skin, leading to the conceit that you, of course, know yourself. And that's it. No more analysis is required. I know me. I'm inside my own skin. I'm self-aware. I know myself. I don't need to look any closer than that. Nothing could be further from the truth, people. And yes, this is an affliction that affects most of humanity. And it is why so many men still continue to get married, get into relationships, and are uncomfortable when they're by themselves and suffer from the blue pill empty man syndrome. Even when it's been proven that marriage is the worst deal possible for us men with the current state of affairs, men still enter into it. Because it's the natural solution to loneliness. It's how you're supposed to get rid of those feelings of loneliness, right? Because after all, that's natural and it works. So it must be the right path, right? Wrong. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.